We're building this house in just 90 days, and in this video, we're tackling the electrical work. I got a quote from an electrician at $25,000 to $30,000. So we're gonna find out just how much can we save by doing it ourselves. Oh yeah, I have to pass an inspection at the end. And don't hit the house. It's working! I'm sure there's an electrician out there screaming at their TV right now. Oh my gosh. And there. Oh, and I'm bleeding. I don't know about this. I don't think it's gonna be in, wow. Whoa.
I'm here for moral support.
Yeah, that didn't work at all. Love it when a plan works out. Is that blood? Oh, I'm bleeding. I like to think about projects like this pretty linearly, like beginning to end. And so I decided the best place to start was gonna be right here at the meter. It's gonna be my job to get the power from this meter into the house. Why does every job around here always seem to start with a shovel? I think I need to find a bigger shovel. My friend Andrew says that excavator operators are allergic to shovels. Don't hit the pole and don't hit the house. Oh, this is silly. Why am I doing this? I could just use the shovel. Probably because this is a lot more fun and a lot faster. Okay, there's also a corrugated drain pipe right there that I don't want to hit. All right, where are we at? 3 scoops with the excavator and we're done with the trench. I love equipment. We need a way to get our wire and our conduit through this concrete wall. Inches right there. I'm gonna go double check that. Not 18, 28. This is called the core drill, and apparently it's gonna let me drill through this block wall. Something that I'm not certain about is that obviously my wall is thicker than that. So what happens when I drill that far? Can I break that chunk out? I have no idea, I guess we'll find out. All right, Mr. Jackery, can you power the hammer drill? This is the weirdest thing, like this does not feel right. Okay, there it goes. It's working! This is gonna take a long time to get through a 6-inch wall. I hope it doesn't catch and break my wrist. How's it doing? It's definitely working. Whoa! It broke the core right out of it. This must be the edge of our concrete that we filled these things with. Yeah, the block's hollow right here between the grout joints. Oh, so it's pretty much just block right here. Whoa! Just caught. Woo-hoo! Now the question is, does this LB fit? Hey! Welcome to the basement. This is where our electrical main feeder is going to come into the house. And traditionally, this is where you would install your breaker panel. But for a variety of reasons, this isn't where I want our breaker panel. I want our breaker panel to be on that wall closer to the middle of the house, accessed from the garage side rather than this bonus room in the basement. But Idaho code says that I have to have a means of disconnecting the electrical service where it enters the home, which means that I'm gonna have to install this electrical disconnect box here. So our main feeder wires are gonna come into this box through this 200 amp breaker and then carry on to our main electrical panel. I'm sure there's an electrician out there screaming at their TV right now that there's an easier way to do this. I always struggle with these knockouts. Okay, now moment of truth. Do we grab a level or do we eyeball it? Okay, fine, I'll go get a level. Pass the hand test. All right, with our conduit set up and our disconnect inside the house, it's time to run a wire. I chose to run 2-aught copper wire. Aluminum wire would have been a little bit cheaper, but this seemed like it was gonna be easier to work with. So I guess let's pull some wire. I have a feeling this is going to be really difficult. Dang it, hung up right here already. Oh my gosh. All right, we're getting there. I'm glad there's only 2 bends though. I have no idea what electricians would normally do. Like, what do you do when the wires are huge? How much further do we have? That much to go. We are 1 foot away. Let's see, wire above the shoulder and there. Oh, we got a 1/2 inch. I just looked up into the meter box and we made it. The wire's there. There it is. Each one of these big feeder wires was almost $6 a foot. It's so expensive. So I really don't want to mess this up. Okay, 20 inches from there. Wowzers. That is some big wire. I could not imagine being like a commercial electrician that did this every day. You'd have some strong arms. Oh, and I'm bleeding. Never again will I complain about feeding 12 gauge wire. Cool. Not having to run a gas generator on this job site while we have the power shut off for doing all this electric work has been a game changer. The Jackery 5000 Plus has 5,000 watt hours of battery capacity and 7,200 watts of output capacity, which means it's enough to power all of our tools, and it's even gonna be able to power this home during an outage. The wheels and handle make the unit extremely portable, and it's got 12 output ports for powering pretty much all of our devices, including, I love that they included this, it has a 50 amp 240 volt plug, which is great for powering things like well pumps during an emergency. Welcome to the garage. So my plan is, it's a straight shot through the ceiling to mount this panel right here. With the panel mounted, it's time to run our wires from our disconnect across to our panel. And just like we did outside, we're gonna be running this inside a PVC conduit to protect the wires from damage. I got some pole string. I honestly have no idea how to use this, but I hope it makes the job easier. So now my idea is that I'm gonna tie this plumb bob to the pole string. I'm gonna use gravity to pull the string through each piece of conduit as I glue them together one by one. Hey, there it is, out the other end. That joint. Okay, conduit secure. Okay, so I've got our 4 wires. We've got 2 hots, a neutral, and a ground. In the US, we use 120, 240 split phase. So there are 2 hot wires. Each one of them is 120 volts, and they combine to make 240. Allows us to have either 120 or 240 appliances in our homes. So I've got all 4 wires here, bundled together with some of what might be the world's smallest electrical tape. And now I'm gonna attempt to attach these to the pole wire. I don't know about this. Oh, I thought I lost it for a second. I've never been in the trades, I've never worked in the trades. So everything I know is like from reading online or watching YouTube videos. And so I've never actually seen any of this stuff done in real life before. And I'm sure that there are just, it would be so nice. Oh, here we go, I'm gonna start pushing wire. I'm starting on this end because all the conduits have a bell to them. So if I go that way, it's all smooth edges. If I went this way, it'd be all sharp edges. I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna pull on my string a little bit to make sure it's not getting tangled inside the conduit. It's actually going pretty easily. Oh, sorry about the long clip, Courtney. How long have I been doing this for? 6 minutes? It feels like I've run a marathon. It's gotta be right here. A couple more big pushes now. Almost there. What's going on? I think I hit something. Oh, we're there. Successful second pull. 12 feet of extra wire. $240 in extra wire, but I really didn't want to run short. Earlier today, I sent our inspector a picture of this conduit here in the trench. He said everything looks good and we're clear to go ahead and bury this conduit. I was very nervous about this process. I'm very nervous about having to get an inspection. I've got to say, like, so far, it's been a pretty pleasant experience. Our inspector has been really easy to work with, very helpful. I think it's incredible that earlier today I sent him a message with a photo and he responded already and said, go ahead and bury that. So let's bury it. The last piece to finishing our incoming service is our grounding electrodes. These are the electrodes that are gonna get pounded into the earth that give our home's ground system a connection to the earth's ground and establish, well, ground. Our inspector recommended that we install them like 5 or 6 feet apart. We have this guy wire coming down for the pole. So I put it underneath this guy wire. I don't think it's gonna be in, wow. I can literally just, whoa. Do you guys see that? I was talking to you, it started going in. That is crazy. There we go, copper plated, steel electrode, 8 feet in the ground. And then our second one we're gonna put right here next to the pole. Wild, just pure sand here. Okay, bare copper wire here. This little guy will clamp around the rod and clamp the wire to the rod so we have a continuous path for electricity. All right, down in there. There's some rule about like, you can test your electrode's resistance, and if it meets a certain requirement, then you don't have to have a second electrode, but it seemed a lot easier just to put a second electrode in. All right, we got a trench dug, we got a service disconnect installed, we got our main panel installed, we got all our conduit run, we got all our wire pulled, and we got our trench filled back in, and we got our grounding electrodes done. Feeling really optimistic after day 1 of electrical work. We'll see you tomorrow where hopefully we start running our branch circuits. Gotta love North Idaho. We were expecting rain today, and instead we get this, which must be the most beautiful day we've had in weeks. First things first, let's get these lights fired up. Let's get some tool batteries charging. Today we're working on branch circuits. Basically, it's all the circuits that come from our electrical panel downstairs up into the home and serve this home. I am extremely intimidated. I've got this book that is mostly helpful, and then also I've got to go to the Idaho amended code because Idaho has its own amendments to the NEC 2023. Basically, the Idaho codes make the wiring simpler and therefore less expensive to the homeowner, which is great for me. The hardest part of any project for me is just getting started. We got our double gang box installed, and it's gonna have 2 switches in it, one for the light and one for the fan. So now it's time to install our fan box up in the ceiling. Pretty cool box. It just mounts right to the bottom of the ceiling joist or truss and makes a nice secure place to hang a fan from. Next up, we need our light fan combo in the bathroom as well as a light in the closet. The bathroom got a double switch box because we're gonna have a switch for the fan and a switch for the light. The closet gets a single switch box for a single light. So we're gonna be using throughout this whole house these recessed LED puck lights. They basically just clip up into the drywall, super easy to mount, super easy to install, and IC rated for direct contact with insulation, which is also pretty cool. It means you don't have to have that giant can up in the ceiling anymore to hold the light away from the insulation. These can just get mounted direct in contact with insulation. Courtney, I think the next step is going to be to mount the bath ceiling fan light combo. And I just had this thought of like, can you mount them that high up? I guess there's no reason why you couldn't, huh? Basically, my plan is to mount everything and then plan how the wires are gonna route. I don't like that it makes the ducting point that way because I want the ducting to go that way. So I guess the option then is just to go over here. I should probably be measuring and actually centering stuff. I call you the camera ninja, Courtney. If you guys could see her setup right now, I'll give you a hint. She's not on a ladder like me. All right, next up, bathroom vanity light. And I don't know, how would you do that? You can't. You think you could get that nail in? With a pry bar and then hit the pry bar? Wow, Courtney, you deserve more credit than I give you on that one.
But you're the one that did it.
I was just gonna abandon that though and put a screw through it right here. Whoa, who made this blocking? What's your job today, Courtney?
I'm here for moral support.
Next up is gonna be the fan light combo in here. Pretty cool. The box has these little tabbies you pull out, and those offset at the right amount for 1/2-inch drywall on the ceiling. It might end up being like 9 extra feet of wire, but we're starting over here. Every time we go through the floor, we have to fill that with fireproof foam. So the more times you go down and up, the more times you have to fill it with foam. I don't know. Okay, back to the old-fashioned way. So you're gonna feed it down the hole, and then I'm gonna work on running it back to the panel. Okay, I'm gonna pull some. Okay, hold on. Every new project is an excuse for a new tool. Today I'm gonna be trying a cable stapler out rather than hammering all the staples in by hand with a hammer. I think this is gonna be a lot faster and more fun. How many do you think could fit in here? Oh, just one clip. That might get a little annoying.
If only you had this belt you could wear that would hold extra supplies for you.
Are you talking about my tool belt? Yeah, so now we're gonna be stapling and securing these wires every 4.5 feet. For some reason, I'm really skeptical. Yeah, that didn't work at all. What's the point if I have to go back with a hammer? It's just not as cool as I wanted it to be. I wanted it to just like, pow, pow, pow.
Have you ever used a hand stapler and been like, wow?
No. For as far as like lights, I'm just putting them where they make sense. There are lots of rules for outlets, and the gist of the outlets is put one everywhere you want one, and then go back and make sure there's an outlet within 6 feet of anywhere you are on a wall. So like, they don't have to be every 6 feet, but from where you are, there has to be one within 6 feet. And I think we're supposed to have a staple within 8 inches of the box. Home run to the panel, done. Coffee time, coffee. I've drank a lot of coffee on this project. And while this may not be my favorite old iron roast from ambitionstrikes.com, all coffee's good. So now we're gonna switch to 14-3 wire. This has 2 conductors plus a neutral, and it's gonna let us have the light and the fan on 2 separate switch circuits, but share a neutral. Basically, it just sort of saves us from having to pull a second wire and costs a little bit less money. I realized that we forgot something in this bedroom, which is the exterior lights outside of the sliding glass door and an interior light switch, so when you come in through the sliding glass door from outside, you can turn the lights on in this bedroom. The key to a 3-way switch being able to control lights from 2 locations is this wire here. I believe it's called the Traveler, and we're gonna be using a 3-conductor wire to run between the switches, and that's gonna allow power to run from our first switch through one of these wires to the second switch, and then back again across the other wire to the first switch. Basically what the switches are doing is changing which route the electricity is able to get to the lights from. Why go all the way around when there's a perfectly good door right here? Going down and down, 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 down to the basement. Doo, 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 doo. Okay, where is that hole? But these eye joists have these pre-located knockouts. I don't know if you can see them here, that I assume are for running utilities through. But when I try to whack them with a hammer, they don't come out. Like, it is way easier to just drill a hole. So I'm gonna stick to drilling holes. With extra wire, secure the wire off. Check this out. Every time it rains, we find more glass from demolishing that mobile home. And we've even like dug all of this up to do all kinds of other work here. We've put gravel down and we're still finding glass. Recommendation for future mobile home smashers is remove all of the glass before you get started. Okay, next step to these lights, we've got our Traveler going from this box to that box. We've got power into this box, and now we need to get our controlled power up to the light. Quick update, I decided to get rid of the smash plate that was supposed to make this easier. I was finding that it just caused more problems than it solved. So I'm going back to the way I've done it before. And then I wanted to show you something else that I'm doing for the first time, which is using these little connectors instead of wire nuts. I think they're called Wago, but that might be a brand name. One wire goes in each hole and then you clamp it down. And what I found before in the past is that on fixtures like this that have a small braided wire, like this one, that you're trying to wire nut to solid wire, I just find that the wire nuts never seem like they get tight, and I'm always kind of nervous about the connection. Where with these, it's like, because each wire gets its own little clampy spot, the connection's really secure, and you can easily take it apart again if you make a mistake. Flip it down. It's not coming undone. I went ahead and got all of the lighting wiring done throughout this entire house, as well as quite a few other projects. Okay, time to start planning out our receptacles. So I made a little block that's 14 inches tall to set the height of the outlets all the same so I wouldn't have to keep measuring all of them. So I really liked this diagram right here. I think it really breaks down what's going on here. But basically, any wall longer than 2 feet has to have receptacles. I'm gonna label this one bed 1. Should be stapled within 8 inches of the box. I was afraid I'm not leaving enough wire in the box. We need to cut out this shape in this stud. It's time to cut the string out of this hood before I get it wrapped up in the hood string that likes to get wrapped up in grinders and saws and stuff. Aha! This is a really frustrating corner, and I'm pretty sure the way this works, because this wall starts from here and it goes to here, that we have to have an outlet on this wall. But then because this wall here is greater than 2 feet, it also has to have an outlet. So I'm pretty sure that I need to put an outlet right here and an outlet right here. I'll have a 3-way splice here on this box. I was using that little staple gun at the beginning of this project, so I thought it was gonna make things quicker, but I found it really cumbersome to use and it wouldn't put the staples all the way in, so I still had to hammer them. Just these NM type staples, I like the ones with the plastic protector on them. I found these to be a lot easier to use. It is completely dark at 4:30. Gotta love winter in North Idaho. That's gonna supply power to the smoke detectors. In the bedroom, 3 feet from that register, 3 feet from the tip of the fan blade. That would be 4 feet from the fan blade, 4 feet from the register. So I put it right there, we should be good. So now to tie the smoke detectors together, we use a 3-conductor wire. 2 of these wires are gonna power the smoke detector, and the 3rd wire is gonna link them together so that when one goes off, they all go off. $11 p.m., which is really late for me. Still have a lot of work to do before we're ready for the inspection. I need to make up all the boxes, tidy up the panel, but we're getting really, really close to being done with the rough electrical.
Riley was an absolute champ and he worked late last night and he got a ton of the wiring done. And so I'm here today, Riley's mom's watching Oliver, and we're gonna try to, I think, take this across the finish line and get inspected tomorrow. I am not an electrician. And this is not a how-to channel, but I did watch some YouTube videos. Step 1 is to take the sheathing back. Jacket, what do you call it?
Insulation.
Insulation. I take these 2, I fold them up, and I fold them up. I know I can do car wiring, my brain understands it. I don't understand house wiring quite yet. I'm bonding the grounds together. This part's actually pretty satisfying.
Counterclockwise, that makes the electricity come out.
Twist it.
You're a funny lefty.
It actually kind of feels like I'm doing like beading or jewelry. Riley said squeeze with all my might, so squeeze with all my might, tuck them in. That's it. That's all I do. Now that box is made up, which, I mean, it feels really silly, like it's not actually done. We're gonna have to come back and pull it all out again. But for now, that's it. And I do that like 50 more times.
With all of our boxes made up, it's time to start making up the panel. I'm especially excited because it also means that it's time to set up the Jackery Smart Transfer Switch. This Smart Transfer Switch is what allows us to use the Jackery Explorer 5000 not only as a portable power station, but also as a complete home backup system, so that if the power goes out at this property, the Jackery 5000 will automatically switch over and start powering all the critical loads in this home. It's pretty fancy looking. So stand by, I'm gonna cut this piece of sheathing out and then we'll get the transfer switch mounted. Thank you, Explorer 5000. Love it when a plan works out. Is that blood? Oh, I'm bleeding. It is always terrifying to drill into something like this for the first time. Now we're gonna be installing NM clamps into the sides of the panel like that so that we can bring the wires from our main panel into our sub panel. I was pushing so hard that on my way through, the tip of the drill bit went bam, hit the side of the electrical panel and knocked the knockout out. Setting this up here for the last time. We have a 100 amp breaker here in our main panel. This is gonna be the feeder that feeds power to the sub panel. So basically we need to route power from this 100 amp breaker into the input of the sub panel. The more careful we are with which loads we transfer over into our critical loads panel, the longer that power is gonna last us in the event of an outage. And when I ran these, I labeled what the wire was. And I'm gonna save this little piece of sheathing and make a label out of it. And I'm gonna slip my little label on here. And this is just gonna help me remember what each one of these circuits is. I don't know, I've seen panels before that look super, super neat. My panels never turn out as neat as I want them to, but I would like, in the event of an outage, that the bedroom outlets stay on. That way things like phones still charge, alarm clocks still go off, washer dryer, we definitely don't need that one to work. Dishwasher, we definitely don't need working. Dining, I think dining would be nice. You know, maybe you want the TV on. Actually, that's probably the circuit that the internet router's on, and that's one we definitely want to stay on. I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of these done and check back in with you then. All my circuits coming down, terminated into each breaker, which leaves now this wire here, which is for the oven, and this one here, which is for the electric water heater. While, believe it or not, the 7,000 watt output capacity of the Jackery 5000 probably could power the oven, I just don't think it's a good use of electricity during an outage. I'm currently on the phone with Oliver because apparently all he's done for the last 3 hours to Courtney is yell, "Dada, dada, dada," which I love. I love that Oliver wants to spend time with me, but also it makes it hard to get much done. So I am working on wiring an electrical panel. Oliver, what have you been doing today, buddy? I actually came back late last night and I finished making up the rest of this panel except for our critical load circuits. So the way that this works is that we have 200 amps of electricity available in this home. And if you think about water flow, amps is like the size of the pipe, the diameter of the pipe. It's how much power can come into our house. And then here we have a 200 amp circuit breaker. It would be completely impractical to run this size wire everywhere in this entire house. So instead we stepped it down to much smaller wires that are like the appropriate size for the devices that we plan on powering. This is the Jackery transfer switch, and this is what's going to allow us to connect these critical load circuits to the Jackery Explorer 5000 so that it can power backup loads in the event of a power outage. Or it also lets us do things like peak shaving. So during peak times when electricity rates are high, we can actually disconnect these circuits from the home and power them off the Jackery so that we're using the electricity in the Jackery. So basically it lets us use less expensive electricity that we paid for earlier to power our loads now. Okay, that wire is spliced in that panel. Now we come over here. I'm gonna pop this one in here. There we go. Got it. All 6 circuits are routed in, and I even added a 7th circuit that goes over to this outlet right here. I thought that outlet would be a good spot for like maybe a chest freezer or something down here in the garage that we want to make sure has power even during an outage. I think it's time to plug everything in. Dead front cover going back on. I don't actually want to power this house yet, and I don't want to backfeed the grid, so I've got the grid turned off, and the only breaker I have turned on is this outlet right here because I'm excited and I want to test this thing out. This cable plugs in right here. This cable plugs in right here. And we could actually even hook a second Jackery 5000 up in parallel to give us, what is that, 14,000 watts of input capacity.
Oops.
Oh, and I think it switched over. Ah, it worked! Sweet. I think it's time for our rough-in inspection. So I'm gonna call the inspector and we'll see in a few days to let you know if we passed. Good morning, guys. It is inspection day, electrical inspection day, and the inspector actually beat me here. So I'm gonna put the camera down. I'm gonna go meet with him and I'll check in with you when we hopefully pass. We didn't actually pass. There are 3 things that I need to correct, and I can just send him some cell phone pictures of it, and once I correct those, then he is going to pass me. So let me go show you what those things are. Number 1 is we missed an outlet. So right here in the second bedroom, zig, zag, zag, the total of those 3 walls is greater than 24 inches. So I need to add another outlet right here. Number 2, 2 hots and a neutral, and our neutral is a different size, so it was pretty easy for me to know which one the neutral is, but he wants me to label this with white tape, so I need to wrap some white tape around it. So we need some white tape right there on the disconnect, and then we also need white tape right here where it comes into our main panel. And the final thing, so you guys saw me add the 2 ground rods to the meter. Well, this is considered a separate structure from this, so I need to add a 3rd ground rod right here where this LB is, and bring another ground from our service disconnect inside the house out to a ground rod right there. We did it. We wired this house ourselves and we passed our inspection. But how much money did we actually save? First, I'd like to give a huge thanks to Jackery for sponsoring this video and providing us with a complete home backup system. The 5,000 plus solar generator from Jackery is a brand new product, and after using it for the past few weeks, I think it's going to be perfect for backing up power in this home. To learn more and take advantage of their early bird offers, head to the link in the description below. Okay, so how much did we save? Every county is going to be different, and we do live in an area that's notoriously easy to build in. But I totaled up all of the receipts and I was able to wire this entire home, including buying all of the outlets, all of the lights, and the permit fees for $4,700, which means that I was able to save almost $20,000 by wiring this home myself. Next up is insulation and drywall. Make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.